Hello everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you all are having a really good day and welcome to Sinful Division. Today is Saturday, which means we are going to be talking about true crimes. Either it is about histories, those forgotten cold cases, or about those dangerous, strange, and weirdest killers. So if you are interested in true crime, then I suggest you to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon right beside it so that you'll know every Saturday when I upload a video because I am every Saturday here. So generally, I just mention the disclaimer writer in the writing, right? But for this case, I really need to say this because this case is really frustrating and heartbreaking. It has really heartbreaking stuffs inside it about what happened to the victim, and also if you think that it will be too much to handle for you, then I'm sorry, I think you shouldn't be watching this, but if you think you are going to be fine, then you're welcome. So today we are going to be talking about James Patrick Bulger, also known as Jamie Bulger. So Jamie was born on 16 March 1990 in Liverpool, England. His parents are Dennis Bulger and Ralph Stephen Bulger. They were a happy family, happy normal family living a normal life, but that actually changed on February 12, 1993. So Denise, the mother, was actually visiting a shopping center with her 2-year-old son Jamie, and she went to a butcher's shop as her final destination, and she took her eyes off her son for very short time, but that very short time was enough to fold into a very disturbing turn of events. John Venables and Robert Thompson, they were just regular 10-year-old boys. They had skipped school on 12 February 1993, but then they had always skipped school regularly. That was the regular thing. They would skip school and just roam around here and there on shopping centers or in the railway tracks, anywhere. They just skipped school. And that day, they were at the same shopping center where Jamie was. So John and Robert were just running around stealing stuffs, various kind of stuffs like candies and troll doll, batteries, a can of blue paint and stuffs like that. And later in the CCTV footage where when the all incident folded up, that time when the CCTV footage was checked, then we can clearly notice that they were actually observing children's apparently to abduct them. They were observing like selecting them, they were observing like that, and they are, I tell you this again, they are 10-year-old boys. Denise noticed that her son Jamie was nowhere to be found, and she panicked like any mother would, right? But then she was also conscious enough to go to the mall security, and she explained the clothes Jamie was wearing that time, and they also announced that on the that loudspeaker they have on the malls and all. They announced it at that, and then they also checked CCTV footage. Time the little Jamie was seen exiting the mall at 3:42 p.m. with two young boys. I'll show the picture. I'll show the CCTV footage right here. It's right here. So you can see Robert. He is walking right in front of Jamie, and Jamie is holding hands of John, and they are just exiting. This seems like very normal picture, right? But it don't seem so innocent picture when you hear the whole story of what this was the beginning of. John even said that Jamie liked him very much. That's why he was holding his hands and he was easily going with him. They went out of the mall and Jamie actually started crying, searching for his mother, but the boys didn't care about that and they were just leading Jamie out with them. Okay, one thing. I don't know if it's true or not, but I actually read somewhere that Jamie was not actually the only kid they tried to abduct. They had actually tried to abduct before also 2 or 3 year old little baby. They tried to abduct before too, but that kid's mother actually found them, so they let him go after seeing the mother coming to take her baby. Okay, the most frustrating part, as always in many cases, and this is the most frustrating part, witnesses who did nothing at all. Many people saw these two boys walking with Jamie and they would believe their side of story because they told witnesses that he was a kid they found somewhere. That kid was lost and they were taking to the police station, and being the adult they just suggested them that they should take him to that police station. At that police station didn't even ask to, I'll take him, okay, I'll go with him for help, because they were young boys too. Even if the story was true, they were young boys too, right? And for some people they said that Robert was actually the elder brother of Jamie. And this is not the most frustrating part. Okay, people might believe the story. If you're saying, okay, this kid is lost, then okay, I might believe. That is your younger brother, okay, I might believe, because that kid is walking with your hands together, right? So you might believe that. But one woman saw Robert punch Jamie and shake him, but she just pulled the curtain and did nothing, ignored that. Many people saw a bump on Jamie's forehead. That was actually because they had punched him, and that's why the bump was in his head. And that seeing two people were not caring enough. And this is always a frustrating part of any case, when people don't help. So we don't know when the horrible crime actually started, but the murder and torture happened between 5:45 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Robert and John took Jamie to a railway station more than 2 miles away in Walton, Liverpool. First, okay, before telling this, I'm gonna say this. They are 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds boys, and he is a 2-year-old baby. They took him to the railway station, right? First, they threw a blue pen at his face that they had actually stolen earlier. And that pen actually went inside Jamie's left eye. Then they threw stones at him, beat him with bricks, and also stuffed batteries in his mouth. They don't just stop there. They actually drop a 10 kgs iron bar, later known to be a railway fistplate, on Jamie. Jamie had 10 skull fractures and 42 injuries in total. And they were so conscious of their actions, the Robert and John, that they actually laid Jamie's body on the railway track so that it would look like an accident. On February 14, 2 days later, Jamie's body was found cut in half by a train, but a forensic pathologist actually confirmed that he had been dead before the train struck him. And police were looking for the two young boys, right? They didn't know who they were clearly, and CCTV footage were not so clear. So still they actually put those in national television, and a woman actually recognized those boys from a few days before, and she called the police to tell about it. And it is said that she deeply regretted not doing anything that time, and obviously anyone would. So Robert and John had actually used the stolen product to torture Jamie, leading it to the murder, right? And even that didn't prove anything or lead police to anything. Police searched every school's list in that area for students who were absent in that particular day. Even that didn't give much of a help, because it brought out many possible suspects, but not actually pointed fingers towards John or Robert. But due to the phone call that police received, they were able to get a warrant for Robert and John's house, and they went there, and actually they found evidence, like there was blood in Robert's shoes and blue paint in John's jacket, that same blue paint. But even this didn't make them as a prime suspect for the police, because they had no violent history or anything. So they were just looking into more troubled kids who were actually not new to the system. So Robert and John were not actually kept in the same room for interview. They were kept in separate rooms, and in the beginning they just blamed each other. They had different stories, but eventually John confessed, and he was even having breakouts, and he even told investigators to tell Jamie's parents that he was really sorry. But Robert, on the other hand, showed no remorse at all. He didn't confess at all. He was denying everything. But mistakenly, obviously, Robert actually explained in detail what Jamie was wearing that day, and that was enough with John's confession, and that was enough. But Robert showed no remorse or nothing at all. That's why he actually earned the nickname as the boy who didn't cry from the press. They were both charged, but their identities were actually hidden from the public because people were in really raised out situation. People would stand in front of courthouse for days and in support of Jamie and asking to kill them because, as in blood for blood kind of situation, they were trying to, and they were actually trying to get them the death row or something like that. And so people were in really raised out situation, and Robert's lack of emotion actually increased that rage in people. So Robert and John were actually considered by court capable of acting with criminal intent, as they were mature enough to understand what is right and wrong. The boys were actually found guilty on 24 November 1993 at Preston Court, and they were sentenced for 8 to 10 years of imprisonment. And this case actually brought up many questions because they were the youngest killers of 20th century, and that's why this case brought up many questions about how we should handle the cases of like this. Like, they were 10-year-old and they were killers. How do you handle, like they were an adult, or handle it like they were child? That this brought out many questions, and obviously it would bring out many questions. So John and Robert showed no violent behavior during their time in prison, and they actually quietly served their time. So they were released after 8 years in 2001 on lifelong license, in other words on parole. So their identities were actually changed, their names and everything, they were changed so that they would live a normal life. And Robert has been living a quiet life since then, but John was actually arrested in 2010 for breaching the terms of his parole. That time, in 2013, he actually was again eligible for parole, but that time Ralph, the father, told Supreme Court that he shouldn't be let out of the prison. But anyways, he was released. But again in 2017, he was arrested for pedophilia and child abuse images in his computer. So he was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months in prison, but his identity was still not revealed. So that's all for what happened with Jamie and the killers. I don't think we should talk in detail about the killers. I really don't want to talk about them because there was all history about John's pedophilia and all. There was all history about that. I didn't want to talk about that. So Denise, the mother, had actually written a book named I Let Him Go, and his father Ralph had also written a book named My James. So that's it for today. I know I generally say something after this, but I don't know what to say on this because we don't know why they did what they did. Actually, they were arrested, but we don't know the exact reason till date that why did they decided to abduct Jamie and do those horrifying things to that poor baby. I'm not trying to justify them or anything, but I think Robert led a nice life after that. That's my guess. We don't know exactly, but because he has nothing that could bring him back to this hellhole again. But John, those were no serious thing. Pedophilia is not normal. Don't try to normalize this. He shouldn't have been let out of prison after that. And his identity was still secret even after all that. And that's something you shouldn't do. I'm okay with Robert's identity hidden because he didn't bring himself back in the system. But John, no. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. So if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up and comment down below on which case or what killer I should do next. See you another Saturday. No, actually see you Tuesday. Subscribe to my channel because I do a thing called Random Tuesday where I upload random videos doing random things on Tuesday. So make sure to check that out. I hope you all are actually doing fine even after listening this, and keep the humanity alive. Stay safe. Bye.